I've been in Silicon Valley for about 20 years. I'm an immigrant myself. Studied in Canada and went to Waterloo, but before that I was born and raised in Portugal. I actually have 3 nationalities. It's kind of one of my unique things. And I've been my entire life in hardware and manufacturing in Silicon Valley. So I started at BlackBerry and then at Google doing servers back in the day before they had any consumer products, 2007. And then from 2008 to 2019, I was at Apple doing R&D around manufacturing, scaling, figuring out how to make MacBooks out of aluminum when no one else had made a consumer product out of aluminum before, and so on and so forth. I left Apple in 2019 once I started to realize Innovators Dilemma was setting in, and decided to join a startup. It was my initial foray into venture. 5 years later, I've had a few founding teams. I've been part of a few founding teams, had a few exits, and have started a career in venture from nothing. I had no background or experience in venture capital. I now run a $30 million venture capital firm focused on manufacturing tech. I don't think there's anywhere else in the world where you can have this crazy career pivot, but we are in the land of pivots. It was not a smooth road. Can chat about it sometime over beer, but I did recently write a book also. If any of you guys are interested in starting a venture, I highly propose or highly promote the concept of niche venture capital right now in the current macro. We're not going to talk about that too much, but my book is called Unlocking Alpha, Rise of the Niche VC, and it's basically all my learnings of how we built this firm from nothing, from the ground up, from angel investing, being in the industry, and now investing in some great founders, through which we'll be talking in a little bit. So let's get started. Omni Ventures, we are the only manufacturing tech-focused VC that I know of. There's maybe one in Japan and maybe one in Europe that are similar, but none of them brand themselves as manufacturing-focused. So we're pretty proud about that. And essentially, while everyone else is chasing software for software, AI to digitize what's already been digitized, essentially, and optimize, we're going after the infrastructure behind AI. So every algorithm out there needs to run on some machine. That machine needs to be manufactured somehow. In fact, not just that machine, but if you guys look around, I challenge you to find something that was not manufactured in this room, right? Like everything. If there was a plant here, there are plants. Even those have been through some sort of manufacturing process. Yet we seem to forget that, being in Silicon Valley, of course, of all places. And that's kind of what we want to be focused on and be differentiated by. Why? Like, at the end of the day, we are a VC firm. Our purpose in life, for better or worse, is not to change the world, although I hope I can. Our purpose for this firm is to return capital at good multiples to our LPs, right? So to start a venture capital firm, we had to look at the industry. We looked very deeply. We didn't just dive in and raise 30 million overnight by any means. 2023 and 2024, for those of you that survived it in VC, were some of the hardest ever since the dot-com boom and crash. But what we've noticed is that if we look at the GDP across the US, you can kind of break it down into these areas that have been through massive digital transformations already. FinTech with Stripe and Square, transportation, warehousing, delivery with companies like Amazon, and IT in general, and digitization of consumer tech with companies like Google and Meta. Business services, of course, that was the wave of SaaS. Companies like Workforce and Salesforce. But in the industry and manufacturing in particular has not gone through any of these digital transformations. This has led to a 3x multiple on the GDP if you were to have invested in these other sectors. And that has not yet happened to manufacturing. It's been left behind. Industry in general, yes, manufacturing is a core part of that. So we believe that there's this massive catch-up opportunity. And maybe we could have said that was true 10 years ago, but all of these actually transformations have happened over the last 20 years. And why do we believe this is going to happen now? Why did we start a VC firm to invest in this particular sector right now? Manufacturing is unique in that it's been around for a long time, right? We've been getting mass-produced goods delivered one way or another for 30, 40, 50 years. And it's therefore an incumbent industry with a lot of CapEx, a lot of existing infrastructure, a lot of production that is expensive to stop, expensive to change. So, when something is existing, especially in the physical world, and is producing at a particular rate, and you want to increase efficiency, you typically would have to build like a separate line, a separate pilot line to test out your technology. But these are quite margin thin industries. So historically, it's been quite challenging. So we can't stop the lines. We can't talk to the lines because they're old industries and they haven't yet been integrated into digital systems. And why not? Because integrating into old systems has historically been expensive, and therefore it's been hard to justify the spend. What's happening now is that there's kind of two waves happening now. One is all these incumbent industries who've been run by a generation that's been running the businesses in a particular way with lack of digitization are retiring. And the new generation, whether it be at a large incumbent conglomerate or at a small, medium-sized business being taken over by next gen, they do not want to run things the same way. They don't want to run factories on paper and on Excel. It's hard to imagine, but for those of you who have been in factories producing real goods, whether in China or in the US, most of these factories run on Excel and email. And those are the better ones, right? Like, many of them still run on paper and maybe email. And if you're in Japan, maybe fax. It's mind-boggling. So, the baby boomer generation is all retiring. Next 5 years, baby boomers will all be retired. These factories are not going to shut down. Everything you see around you is still going to need to be made. In fact, maybe more. So what we're expecting and what we're seeing is this perfect storm of technology and willingness to adopt new technology all of a sudden, combined with massive labor shortages globally, even in countries like China, the US, of course, and a wave of not just cheap compute, but the ability to build these tools much more efficiently and absorb data from the physical world much more efficiently. Combining simple IoT, gathering basic data like vibration, noise, acoustics, temperature, with machine intelligence, either at the edge or in the cloud. We believe that there's going to be a new wave of not just gathering data, but business intelligence, factory intelligence, infrastructure intelligence, machine intelligence for the real world that will be valuable and creation of true, delivering of true insights to business owners. What we've noticed as well is that across the industry, if you look at all of the major, huge, we're missing many here, but this is just a selection of the very large industrial conglomerates globally, whether it's US, Japan, Taiwan, Europe. A lot of these guys have more cash in the bank since COVID than ever before. They've risen to their prime. They built out factories with automation that's been mostly focused on high volume production, repetitive production. And they're just sitting on these piles of cash. So what are they going to do with the cash? They're not really innovating anymore. They're certainly not innovating at the speed of companies that we see coming out of Silicon Valley. We believe that, and they are, we don't believe, we see that they're starting to invest and to venture invest earlier, and more importantly, priming the pumps for a wave of acquisitions. We've already seen some acquisitions happening in the hundreds to high hundreds, even up to $1 billion, of startups, technology companies that can revolutionize their particular sector, whether it be vision systems for robotics, autonomy for warehouses, or logistics companies like Samsara. So we've made friends with a lot of these guys, either as co-investors or LPs, or just potential M&A targets for our startups. And what this is causing is essentially a recapitalization of Industry 4.0 in a way where we're now able to actually connect the real industry with the digital industry, with the wave of AI that you guys see outside of the physical industry. I can now factually say that we have this incredible interest globally. So these are not just US companies that we're working with, not necessarily Chinese companies. In fact, I would almost describe this wave of global dynamism that's evidenced by our global LP base, of which we have 14 countries represented in our fund, as exactly that, global dynamism, wanting to rebuild your local factories, logistics, and infrastructure. And maybe even, dare I say, not diversify entirely from China, but bring back some independence around areas of the economy that make sense for each region. Certainly defense, certainly other critical industries like medical and AI and robotics. We're seeing a lot of interest there. Are we going to be making shoes and toys and iPhones in the US? Absolutely not. I'm not investing in companies like that. But are we going to be building factories with robots that can deal with very high mix, low volume across a variety of products in the US? Absolutely. And many of our LPs are doing that today. So the types of businesses we're investing into to cause and accelerate this global dynamism are businesses that actually can be deployed anywhere. People ask me, what is manufacturing tech? What's my definition of manufacturing tech? Well, I'm not investing in factories. We're not an American Dynamism fund that is rebuilding factories in the US, although we certainly can facilitate the acceleration of that. We're investing into asset-light businesses that can be deployed anywhere globally. And this is what our largest LPs are excited about. Whether it's software, IoT, or robotics, these are businesses that may go to market in the US, but ultimately will scale and sell globally to any country, any region that wants to rebuild and accelerate the efficiency of their bottom line and top line. These are typically, we kind of say, we touch on the full value chain of manufacturing, from ideation creation, which is digital engineering, through what you typically think of as manufacturing operations, robotics, workflow automation for factories, robotics itself, which is its own full category, but we kind of group it together with the between manufacturing and supply chain, and then finally supply chain, which again is a whole other industry in itself that is highly lacking in digitization, whether it's customs automation or procurement automation or quoting automation. We have none of that. So we're investing in these areas. We've started investing already. There's a couple of companies today that we'll be presenting a little bit later. Zeno, Brandon over here, is creating a really cool software to help engineers design before they even start designing. And Max is going to be presenting on a few shot, zero shot training algorithm for robotics that's kind of hardware agnostic. And we are really excited to be presenting, really excited about this area, looking for co-investors, looking for startups in this area. We write first checks, very high conviction. We lead with up to $1 million. And we're looking to reinvigorate the ecosystem in this space. Thank you. And if you have any questions, let me know. Happy to chat. If you'd like a free copy of my book, please connect with me on LinkedIn. This is my barcode for my LinkedIn, and I'll send you a e-copy. And I'll open up to questions. The best 4 or 5 questions will get a physical copy of the book. Are we on time? 1 minute, okay.
Thanks so much for that presentation, and particularly also the Believing Manufacturing Tech on the software level. So my question is, so when, I asked this question previously in terms of, when you're trying to do both the hardware and the software level of orchestrating AI on the factory floor, then you might come into a situation where you're trying to replace or compete with what Siemens and ABB, especially the businesses that they built over, tens of decades. So what is your suggestion for what would be the best way of actually optimizing, future factory manufacturing and not going to that level? Or are you saying that there's a space to actually go that, space of AI-native PLCs?
Yeah, so the question is, how do we compete in factories without competing with the incumbent players? Or how do we enter without competing with the massive incumbent players like Siemens? Typically, what we recommend and what we see is startups starting off with a layer instead of necessarily needing to connect and replace PLCs made by Siemens. They figure out a way to provide additional intelligence with sensors and software. So they're providing a layer of intelligence above what the PLC that's running the machine would do, and this could be, efficiency for current. It could be machine operation time, operators, safety, preventative maintenance is a really good one. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you. I'll be available for additional